Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'd like to show you how I made this little graduation card. It's that time of year and I've had a couple of requests, so I put this one together and we made it in a class that I recently did. And let me tell you the pieces that we need to make this. We need a piece of basic black. This is what I used, my card base at, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 and folded and burnished there. Then we need 2 pieces of Whisper White that measure 5 1/4 by 4, one for the inside, one for the outside. Then we need 2 pieces, or 1 piece of basic black that is 2 3/4 of an inch square, and then a piece of basic gray that will layer over the top of that, that's 2.5 inches square. Then I have lots of little pieces here. I have a piece of black that is 1 1/4 inches by 2.5 inches, and one that is 1 1/4 by 2 1/4, and then I have 2 small pieces, or 1 small piece I guess is all I need, that is 1 1/4 inches square. And I'm using the Starlight folder, embossing folder, and some white baker's twine. And the stamp sets that I'm using are from Sweet Sentiments, Congratulations Graduate, here. And then in Wild About Flowers, which is retiring soon, I'm using May the Very Best Life Holds for You Be Yours in the Days and Years Ahead, and that's for the inside sentiment on this card. So let's just get started here. The first thing we need to do is emboss up this piece of paper with the Starlight folder, and I've already done mine to save a little bit of time. And this piece can go directly on our card base here, and I'm going to use some snail to secure that piece on the front of the card. This is a real simple, there's a little bit of cutting, but really pretty fast and easy little card. Okay, so there we go. We have our front on there. Then, the other thing I need is a brad, and I'll show you just to anchor my tassel there. So these 2 pieces get layered on one another. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. And then that piece is going to go on the card on dimensionals right here. So let me grab some dimensionals here, and we can go ahead and adhere this right to the card, because the pieces that we're going to add can go right on the top here, and there's no need to have a delay. I am going to put a dimensional in the middle because that's where the hat is going to go. So we have, just to put this in place, and I'm going to center this with a little bit of a margin on either side of the point and the top, about the same. Okay, there it is. All right, so the other thing that we need to do is to stamp our sentiment here. Congratulations, graduate. And I have my sentiment here and some Versamark. And, you know, I didn't use my embossing buddy, and I definitely want to do that because particularly when you're working on black cardstock, it's real easy to get things, powders, where you don't want them. Okay, so I'm going to set this here, and I am going to make sure I've got that right side up and put my congratulations graduate right here. Oh dear, that's not very straight. In fact, that was up a little bit. So I'm going to do this on the reverse side and try that again. And see if I can get that more centered and straight. That is quite a bit better. Okay, so move the Versamark out of the way. Grab my silver embossing go. That is now embossed, and I'm going to let that cool off and dry for a second. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to stamp the inside of my card, and I'm using our archival black ink here, and I've got my sentiment mounted, and this is photopolymer, so I need a little cushion underneath it, and mat here, and put that down, and let's see, ink this up. My ink pad may need to be re-inked. There we go, that's much better. All right, so now I can go ahead and put some snail on the back of this piece and put it on the inside of my card. There we go. All right. Now, the pieces that are left are these pieces here. I think this is dry. That can also go up on dimensionals, and I'll just go ahead and put that in place. Down so there's a tiny little margin on the bottom and a tiny little margin at the top. All right, the pieces that are left are these, and what I'm using my white watercolor pencil to mark about halfway across both sides of this piece of paper, and you certainly can measure it, but I'm just going to eyeball it here and get my marks put down so that I can see them. And I'm going to cut across here from one mark to the other. to create the hat. So what I'm creating is kind of a long diamond shape here. And then, see, we also need a little punch, and this one is my 3/4 of an inch punch. And out of this piece, this 1 1/4, what I'm going to do also is kind of mark that one kind of in the middle. And then I'm going to use my punch to just take out from the corner to the mark a little bit of a circle. Now I'm going to match it up on the other side from where I cut this side and take out another piece. Now this is going to be my hat, and that feels to me a little bit wide. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I am going to trim this down on both sides and make that hat piece a little narrower. Now, what I'm going to do is I am just going to glue these two pieces together, and I'm going to use snail. And you don't need a whole lot because you're not going over very much of the hat here. But I'm going to attach those two pieces together, and then I am going to take my piercing tool, and I am going to, let's see, what did I do with my piercing? So what I'm going to do is take my piercing mat and I'm going to put a hole kind of right there in the middle of my hat. And let me show you how I made the tassel. So what I've got is a piece of chipboard, and this is off of the backing for some of the designer series paper that comes from Stampin Up. And I cut this, I think, 1 1/4 inches. Yes, it's 1 1/4 inches long. And what I'm going to show you how to make the tassel. And we're going to take our baker's twine here, and boy, I need to order some more of that. I'm almost out. And what I'm going to do is just wind this around one end of this, and I'm going to wind it around 8 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this end I leave a little bit long, and then this end I also leave a little bit long. Now I'm going to take anything, and I'm just going to use my tweezers to put underneath here and kind of lift those. You see what I'm doing there? Just lifting those that twine up a little bit. And I'm going to cut off a piece of baker's twine, and as I lift those up, I'm going to put this piece of baker's twine underneath here, and so that I can get this underneath all of these pieces of twine that I've wrapped around this card. And there, I've got it in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up to the top, and I'm going to tie a double knot here at the top. So get that string out of the way, tie one knot, and then I can pull these strings out of the way. So I've tied one knot. So now I'm going to one's got a mind of its own. It's all right, we'll get it under control. Tie a second knot on the top to really secure that down tightly. So there we go. So that's what that looks like. So I've got a double knot tied on the top of this, and I'm going to now then, okay, now I'm going to slide my scissors underneath this twine and get it as close to the bottom as I can and cut those off. Now you see I've got this little piece of baker's twine with my long tails that I've tied here. Now I'm going to take one more piece of baker's twine here, probably more than I need, and I'm going to set my tassel right on top of this piece of baker's twine, and I'm going to tie a knot here and pull these strings down. So now I've got a top knot on my tassel, and I'm going to tie that one more time to get a double knot to make sure that's on there real nice and tight. And so there we go, my second knot. Now one of these strings wants to hang down with these, and that's fine. This one is kind of loose, and I think what I'm going to do is just trim that off real close to the knot here so we don't see it. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do is come across the bottom here with my scissors and even up that tassel. So there I've got my tassel, and I'll take all of my little pieces of twine fuzz here and get rid of it. Now then, I only need one of these pieces here. So again, I'm going to cut one of these off real close to the knot. There we go. And I'm going to push this. Use my tweezers. Yep, I think that's going to be more successful. Get that pushed through and then pull it on the back side here. Okay, then you want to set your tassel the way you'd like it to hang, and I want mine to kind of hang a little bit off to the side, and I'm going to trim this little piece of twine here. I didn't get it as close to the knot as I wanted, and I don't want to cut my knot. There we go. Now what I can do is take a glue dot, which I think I will do, and put it on the back side of this tassel. And secure that right here on the edge of the hat, about where I'd like that tassel kind of hanging off. Like that. Pull my string straight, and then I'm going to grab a brad, and I think I'll have it be a silver one. Okay. And I'm going to push the brad through this hole in the hat and butterfly the back of it. And then I'm going to trim this piece of baker's twine here, and I am going to use a dimensional here to put squarely over the top of the brad and that little piece of twine. Then I'm going to cut this dimensional in half and secure both sides of the hat with a dimensional, and maybe put one down here as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is finish the assembly of this card. Let me move some of these things, continue to move these out of the way. Okay, and here we go. We have our card just about finished, and I'm going to attach the hat to my card. I'm going to attach this piece right here in the center of my card, and there we have our project for today. It's actually simple. The hat is a little fiddly, but not bad. And so congratulations, graduate. May the very best life holds for you be yours in the days and years ahead. Nice little sentiment on the inside. And that is the project for today. Thanks so much for stopping by my YouTube channel and joining me today. All of the pieces here, with the exception of the brad, can be purchased on my 24/7 shop, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net. Be sure to use the host code, which will be noted in the video below, as well as all of the dimensions and the sizes and measurements for all of the pieces today will be located down below. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. You can join Stampin' Up! $125 worth of product for $99. And when you join my team, I get you another $40 worth of product for joining my team. And so it's $165 worth of product for $99. So, and I would love to have you join me. So here, this is the project for today, and we'll see you soon. I'll be back with more projects and cards. Bye.